Hello out there, very dear friends, amazing viewers. It's always wonderful to have you join us every weekday when we talk about something topical that concerns you and of course concerns me. Welcome to Redlines, your favorite television program, and today we'll be bringing to your company something that we'll be proud of, something that in fact all of us in very unique ways. So don't go anywhere, just stay, and of course together we'll have a wonderful time, that we shall enjoy together. My name is Toju Tuoyo, and today we'll be bringing the usual features, an amazing video. We'll get to you in an interesting conversation with a wonderful guest, somebody who spent well over 15 years, in the development space, working with youth and other vulnerable groups globally. I'm sure you won't want to miss that for anything. So it's going to be a wonderful time as usual. Of course, we'll bring you to our thoughts for the week, exposing something topical, something that has, the danger sign, the danger light, something that we all need to work together, and forestall before it gets out of hand. That'll be your side of the program for today, and we'll take you straight to our video for the week, and hope that we're able to get something that would inspire all of us to build a better future. So don't go anywhere, we'll be right back.
This is a true story about school bullying that led to a tragic act of retaliation ending in a massacre. Several students cornered Orlando in the restroom and began humiliating him without restraint. Orlando, quiet and withdrawn, didn't dare to resist at all. That experience left him deeply humiliated and insecure. To escape this torment, he made a decision. One day in October 2022, he went alone to a nearby weapons store. There, he not only purchased an Armalite rifle, but also bought over 600 rounds of 7.62 millimeter ammunition. With all that in hand, he felt confident enough to carry out his plan for revenge. But what he didn't expect was, his mother quickly discovered that he had bought weapons and ammo. Fearing that Orlando might do something reckless, she immediately called the police and told them her son had been emotionally unstable lately and was taking medication for depression every day. But the police did nothing in response. In a country obsessed with individual rights, as long as Orlando hadn't broken the law, they had no right to interfere with his freedom. That outcome left his worried mother feeling helpless. And once Orlando learned that she had called the police, he decided to move forward with his plan an entire week earlier than scheduled. On October 24, 2022, Orlando arrived at the school where he has studied for 3 years. When Orlando entered the school with his weapon, the security guard at the gate was terrified. Compared to Orlando's rifle, his police baton looked like a stick of firewood. At that moment, he had no choice but to raise his hands and surrender. Thankfully, Orlando didn't shoot at him. Instead, he walked straight to his classroom. Along the way, he passed some students from other classes. When they saw the weapon in his hand, they were also terrified. But Orlando had a clear purpose and didn't harm any innocent students. But when he reached the school gymnasium, he saw a student who had bullied him in the past playing basketball with others. So, Orlando took advantage of their confusion and pulled the trigger without hesitation. After opening fire, everyone in the gym collapsed. Once he finished in the gym, Orlando calmly walked to his own classroom door and then burst into the room while class was still in session. He first took aim at his teacher, then turned the gun on his classmates. At that moment, he wanted everyone to pay for what he had been through. After carrying out the attack, Orlando walked out of the classroom, satisfied. But by then, a large number of police had already arrived at the school. During the standoff, Orlando showed no signs of fear whatsoever and didn't fire a single shot at the officers. But faced with a dangerous and heavily armed suspect, the officers didn't hesitate. They opened fire immediately. With the sound of gunshots echoing, 19-year-old Orlando collapsed on the ground. Though he believed this act restored his dignity, he ultimately paid the price with his life. In truth,
that's the video for this week, and really hope that we're able to get the message, the lessons, embedded in that video, and of course help us to build a better future, one as is devoid of negative vices of violence, that self or society would have to go through. And that's the video for this week. We'll take you straight to our interview segment, where we'll have a very viable, very interesting conversation with somebody I count very privileged to have her company. Florence Ogonigbu is somebody with many years of advocacy and of course diligent work in social development. Florence has had experience working with young people in South Africa, in Nigeria, and beyond, having put together lots of programs for empowerment, for mentorship, and today she's with us today to discuss a very interesting topic which we title The Nigerian Youth, Broken Dreams, a Broken Generation Insights. And to this effect, we'll have the company. Florence, nice to have you on today's program.
Thank you so much for having me.
Beautiful. So Florence, we're talking about the Nigerian youth, of course, and you fall within that range. We're talking about broken dreams. We're talking about a broken generation. What's your opinion about all of this?
Well, I would say that indeed Nigerian youths would say have broken dreams. This is as a result of the challenges that we're facing in our society.
Okay.
So, Nigerian youths make up of over 70% of the population, as with most populations in countries, they are driven by youth. So it is a very serious thing to say that Nigerian youths have broken dreams, and it's real in the sense of, one, they face crisis of unemployment, poverty, lack of opportunities. These are enough to make you feel like your dreams are not there anymore, that you have broken dreams. So that's the perspective I'm coming from when I say that we can say that Nigerian youths have broken dreams.
So who's breaking these dreams?
Well, it's as a result of, let's start with poor governance. That's one of the results of, one of the causes of these broken dreams. Frustration from unmet aspirations, barriers from poor education, and of course lack of opportunities. One of them.
All of these reasons or instigations to have broken these dreams seem to be external. Can't we, or can we hold the youth themselves responsible for these broken dreams?
Yes. Also, yes, youth can be held because you are responsible for your destiny. You're responsible for your life. So it's your responsibility to take action. You cannot put blame the system 100%. And I must say that I want to acknowledge that Nigerian youths are resilient.
Okay.
So I would say that a lot of them have decided to take their future in their hands. That's why we have a lot of innovation coming from Nigeria, despite all the odds and challenges that we are facing as a nation. We have a lot of things that are happening, going on for us, especially from the youth.
Okay, so looking at the Nigerian youth and its very resilient strength, that we're very grateful for. We want to find out, is this this experience that the Nigerian youth, going through, does it directly relate to a brokenness in a generation?
Yes, that is partly from brokenness from a generation. Yeah, so the Nigerian youth, we've lost a touch with the other there's a generational gap
Okay.
that we have right now.
Okay.
And then what we call the Gen Z and everything, we're kind of losing touch with the other generation. Let me put it that way.
Okay. 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 That's the preceding generation.
Yes. the
But
preceding generation.
but trying to focus on the current generation, say, the people who you say seem to be breaking, the people who you say seem to have lost opportunities, the people who you seem to say have failed to be properly guided and mentored accordingly. Now this generation, say in the last 20 years, are they broken?
I would say they are at the point of breaking. They are breaking. Yes.
Okay.
I think there's still a little bit of hope. So this is my own personal opinion.
Okay.
I won't say we are completely broken. I still think there's a little bit of, we are holding on. Yes, we are almost broken, but we're still trying to hold on.
Talking about brokenness and the Nigerian youth, you've got international experience. Is this peculiar to Nigeria?
No, I wouldn't say it's peculiar to Nigeria. Every country has its own unique challenges. So Nigeria as a nation has its own unique challenges. I wouldn't want to bring South Africa here. Today's topic is about Nigeria. I haven't lived there for a while. I also noticed some trends over there, so it's not peculiar to just Nigeria, no.
Okay, okay. Now, so what trends can you replicate?
Okay, do you mean are we talking about the broken part of it now?
Yes.
All right. For example, when I lived in South Africa, something that is peculiar over there that is here, I would even say it's even more rampant over there, substance use, alcoholism.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Addictions?
Yes. Drug addictions and alcoholism. I don't want to portray any country in a bad light. That's not what I'm trying to do. But with all due respect, in South Africa, you could wake up in the morning and you're taking a walk to work, and you see whether male or female, they'll be lying down on the streets, as in passed out from either alcohol, drug, substance use, and things like that. It's that bad, as in you would notice it as you're going on a walk, to work or something. So something like that. We have that happening in Nigeria in terms of substance use now. It's becoming an issue, and if we don't do something, it will get to a stage that it's maybe uncontrollable. Why substance use is a big issue is because many other vices stem from drug usage. Things like kidnapping, things like prostitution, whatever. A lot of things come from drug use, because once you are high, you have the tendency to do things you will not do under normal circumstances, rape and other things that are associated with drug use, substance use.
Okay, let's look at institutional approach, because we've talked about the youth and the Nigerian youth being quite resilient. Let's look at the institutions we have in Nigeria. They vary. How do we get an institutional approach, to help these breaking Nigerian youth who's been, confronted with a myriad of, mountainous challenges?
Yes, one of the ways to do this is conversation. Yes, the Nigerian government or institutions, they need to listen to the youth. That's one of the ways to start preferring solution, because it's only the person that it's biting that can tell you where it's biting. We need to, get to the level whereby we open doors for us to have conversation with young people. We have this stereotype, we have this mindset in Nigeria where we grew up knowing that, you can't talk to your older ones. You can't look at your older ones in the eyes. It's like an insult.
Yeah, and express yourself.
Yes, and it's kind of gotten into us too. So we don't want to listen to young people. We feel, what do they have to say? What do they know? Leave them, Jerry, So that is why the developed world are different. They listen to young people. It starts with listening. Let's get them into conversation to say, what is going on with you? Where do you need help? I think that is where we should start from. We should have forums where we are bringing in young people. I'm happy about things like not too young to vote, you know,
Not too young to run.
not too young to run. Things like that are already happening, but we need more. We need more of such platforms, such forums for the Nigerian youth.
Okay, so I'm happy you mentioned not too young to run. That's a policy introduced by the last administration, you know, to empower and embolden young persons to, you know, lay siege to the powers that be, and of course access the powers to also administer society. Now, what else do we need? I mean, do we also need to get to a point where maybe legislation, you know, that would protect, you know, a little more the vulnerabilities of young persons? Do we have enough in that regard?
No, we don't have enough. We need more of that. And like what I said, when we start involving young people in the conversation, also in policy making, then we'll be able to draft policies that will also be peculiar, that will look out for young people. So it will start with that conversation, and that will now drive us into having policies, because they will be part of the policy makers now. So they will be able to bring forth policies that will, you know, align to their own interests. So let me put it that way. So it starts with that conversation of, let them be parts of this conversation. Let there be a collaboration between, let there be an intergenerational dialogue, you know. Let there be collaboration between the older ones and the young people. Let me put it that way.
Okay, so well said. We're looking at red lines. That's what this program is titled. And of course, are they red lines in our future if we persist, if we continue the way we currently sail? We've got examples across the world where young persons have been pushed to the wall, where people have, you know, seemingly broken dreams and have risen up to make a statement.
Yes.
In Nigeria, we've also had the experience of even NSAS, which was youth-driven. So bringing all of this into mind, you know, the strength and the potential of the youth in Nigeria and globally, what red lines do we have to avoid, you know, moving forward?
Moving forward, we need to have youth participate in governance. In order for us to be able to have good governance, youths need to be involved in the governance process. That's one of it. They need to be, I can't say enough of this, they need to be part of the conversation for things to happen. Youths are known all over the world to be innovative, to be creative. They lead changes. There are many examples all over the world where it was the youth that decided to do something before there was a change in that country. Or
example,
the process, like for example, we have Uganda. The process of change, not that there's complete change, but at least the process of change has started because the youth decided to take the initiative. And the beautiful thing about Uganda, from the little research I did, was that they had more of this creative activism. You know, it was more of they sat down to come up with something, you know, to make their voices heard, and they were able to get a little bit of attention from the government. But the thing is that it's not just going to happen overnight. It's a process. It's going to take a lot of more work being done, pushing, but it's not necessarily with violence, but being creative in making our voices heard.
Well said. There's also, you talked about drugs. You talked about, you know, funny addictions that young people would identify with. So if I should round up with our conversation for this week, what would be the major concerns, major red lines again, that young persons must also look out for, avoid, so as not to become a menace, you know, to society and themselves and our future?
Okay, I'm going to take a kind of different approach in this. I want to talk about materialism and greed. Yeah, let me take that because this is what leads to so many vices. There's this search for money, to make money. Nigerians will say to blow. I don't blow, I won't blow. You find that language amongst our youth. And it's something that now pushes them to go the extra mile. You know, to do anything. That's where all this Yahoo comes from. And a step further, we call it Yahoo Plus now. We see a lot of ritual killings going on, kidnapping. For why is it so rampant? Because everybody wants to meet up with a trend of
materialism.
Exactly, overnight. You know, you just want to make it, because when you come with your new car or your new phone or whatever, people will use, you don't come, my guy. You understand? So that is why I'm saying I want to take a different approach.
Okay.
We need to come back to our basis, where we came from, where society used to ask questions, where your parents will ask you questions. You can't just come overnight with money, one big money, then your parents, nowadays, that is what is happening in our society. My pikin don't try, or you know, they see your mates, they're not going to do it in this one, they do things like that. You know, before it wasn't like that. They would scold you and say, where did you get this thing from? Go and return it. So we need to go back to that part where the society, the community, there was a communal approach to child development. Everybody was involved in child protection. It wasn't just about, it's my child, it was our child, and our pikin those days. So that's why I'm saying I'm taking a different approach.
Well said, Florence Ogonigbo. She is a youth advocate. She's into social development, and of course, I'm sure you'll be proud of who you met today. Really, really exciting person. And I just hope that we can get more of you and what you do. She's initiator, Mega Impact Foundation, and they've been doing so much work, you know, in the development space, trying to make life a lot better. Before we let you go, I mean, that would be so unfair if we don't dig into your foundation also. I hope you are also doing something into this areas we talk about. We talk about a brokenness of the youth and a broken generation.
Yes.
What's the Mega Impact Foundation doing about this? Anything, if at all?
Okay, I just want to talk about something we're doing for the development of the boy child.
Oh, currently?
Yes, because a lot of attention is on the girl child, which we don't have anything wrong about that.
You're actually a girl too.
Exactly. But I think we also need to focus on the boy child, you know, in terms of mentorship, in terms of getting the attention away from these vices we've been talking about into instead developing in tech related. So that's what we're doing with the boy child
currently.
Yes.
Okay, maybe we'll get you some other time to let us into this, help us understand what Mega Impact Foundation is doing for the boy child, and of course to help, you know, a potentially broken generation from breaking. Absolutely. It's been wonderful having you. We'll take a little break. We'll come back to get Florence's thoughts on her concerns locally. Of course, we've talked about the youth, you know, in Nigeria, and we talked about our video, of course, which highlighted, you know, a trend which could be more of international. It could happen anywhere too, and the scenario was outside this country. So bringing us back home, Florence will share her thoughts and we'll end up. So you're still on to Red Lines, and we'll be right back.
This is a true story about school bullying that led to a tragic act of retaliation ending in a massacre. Several students cornered Orlando in the restroom and began humiliating him without restraint. Orlando, quiet and withdrawn, didn't dare to resist at all. That experience left him deeply humiliated and insecure. To escape this torment, he made a decision. One day in October 2022, he went alone to a nearby weapons store. There, he not only purchased an Armalite rifle, but also bought over 600 rounds of 7.62 millimeter ammunition. With all that in hand, he felt confident enough to carry out his plan for revenge. But what he didn't expect was, his mother quickly discovered that he had bought weapons and ammo. Fearing that Orlando might do something reckless, she immediately called the police and told them her son had been emotionally unstable lately and was taking medication for depression every day. But the police did nothing in response. In a country obsessed with individual rights, as long as Orlando hadn't broken the law, they had no right to interfere with his freedom. That outcome left his worried mother feeling helpless. And once Orlando learned that she had called the police, he decided to move forward with his plan an entire week earlier than scheduled. On October 24, 2022, Orlando arrived at the school where he has studied for 3 years. When Orlando entered the school with his weapon, the security guard at the gate was terrified. Compared to Orlando's rifle, his police baton looked like a stick of firewood. At that moment, he had no choice but to raise his hands and surrender. Thankfully, Orlando didn't shoot at him. Instead, he walked straight to his classroom, classroom. Along the way, he passed some students from other classes. When they saw the weapon in his hand, they were also terrified. But Orlando had a clear purpose and didn't harm any innocent students. But when he reached the school gymnasium, he saw a student who had bullied him in the past playing basketball with others. So, Orlando took advantage of their confusion and pulled the trigger without hesitation. After opening fire, everyone in the gym collapsed. Once he finished in the gym, Orlando calmly walked to his own classroom door and then burst into the room while class was still in session. He first took aim at his teacher, then turned the gun on his classmates. At that moment, he wanted everyone to pay for what he had been through. After carrying out the attack, Orlando walked out of the classroom, satisfied. But by then, a large number of police had already arrived at the school. During the standoff, Orlando showed no signs of fear whatsoever and didn't fire a single shot at the officers. But faced with a dangerous and heavily armed suspect, the officers didn't hesitate. They opened fire immediately. With the sound of gunshots echoing, 19-year-old Orlando collapsed on the ground. Though he believed this act restored his dignity, he ultimately paid the price with his life. In truth, when facing school bullying, there are many possible solutions, but choosing such an extreme path only brings the deepest pain to one's own family.
All right, so it's been wonderful having your company all this while. You're still on to Red Lines. We're still with our guest in-house, Florence Ogonegbu, and of course, she's from the Mega Impact Foundation, people who have spent a lot of time doing advocacy on the youth, on the boy child, and of course to advance society for better. Now, we're on to the final segment where we'll be experiencing and exchanging thoughts from Florence, from her local community. I mean, we all have, everyday experiences, good, bad, and ugly. And talking about red lines and where you live, what do you perceive? What does your attention compel you to speak on this one, Florence?
Okay, I'm going to use this opportunity to talk about child trafficking because I'm a member of Child Protection Network. Child trafficking is in two aspects. It's either it's going to be happening nationally, internationally. Now, on the local aspect, you have child labor, using children that are underage for labor. While the other ones is when you traffic them outside of the country for sexual exploitation and the rest of them, organ harvesting. We even have some areas where they use these children for they make children and they take the children from them for all sorts of things. So it's a very big problem. That's the reason why children are getting missing these days. Some children, they go and buy me groundnuts. The next thing you don't see that child. There are many communities, I don't want to mention the names of these communities, that this thing is rampant. It is rampant. What are the push factors? It's still the same thing. Poverty. A lot of parents don't care about their children, not because they want it to be like that, but the economy is too hard. It's pushing on them. But there's another angle where some parents, it's out of greed for materialism. And they say, oh, we want you to go and do what so and so is doing. See this one, he did Italy. He don't make car, he don't build that, he don't buy me car. So everyone is involved in order to curb it. So that's my own.
So child trafficking is an issue, and of course, like you rightly said, it's something that happens around almost all of us. Now, how conscious is society towards this reality? Because when we talk about child trafficking many times, I for one do not want to believe it's that rampant. So I'm actually shocked that a lot of these missing cases you see around may also be a reason, an inroad to child trafficking. So I'm saying, how conscious are we as a people towards this regard?
Okay, I would say now we are becoming conscious. Before now, we're not so conscious. But thanks to some work that is going on, even right now, I'm also working with ICMPD on a project that they are doing in Delta State. International Center for Policy Development.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, they are doing something about child trafficking in schools.
Good.
Why? Because it's rampant nowadays. A lot of children are getting missing.
From school?
Yes, from school. We have children that are being used, like I said, for child labor. When you get to some schools, some children, they don't give attention to their education, they miss schools. These are signs of children that have been trafficked. So along the way, when you talk to them, you find out that, oh, so and so, my auntie told me to come here, she'll take me to school. but at the end of the day, it's not school. This child is being used for labor.
Okay, and finally, if we don't leave this in the board,
Yes, it's going to be terrible for us, because at the end of the day, it's going to have an adverse effect on all of us. Whatever we don't try to solve will have a way of affecting all of us at the end of the day.
creating a monster for all of us
Yes.
to live with in the future. Florence, it's been wonderful listening to you. It's been amazing being taught by you, and I hope that our viewers also would also share in my own accolades on you. Thank you for making our time, and hope to bring you here some other time to give us another piece of Florentic lecturing. Hope you oblige us. That's much we'll do for today. It's been amazing discussing the Nigerian youth, broken dreams, a broken generation, and getting insights from Florence Ogonigbo. My name is Toju Tuoyo, and hope to see you some other time, and hopeful that you can see the red lines and avoid them as such. Until then, it's bye-bye.